Welcome to Point Blank. This is your host, Panama Crypto. Today our guest is Michaël van de Poop, or better known as Crypto Michaël. He's a full-time trader, oftentimes writes for the Cointelegraph and Crypto Benelux, a crypto news outlet for the Netherlands and Belgium. Welcome, Michaël. Very happy to have you on Point Blank.
Thank you, Panama. Thanks for having me. I'm happy to be here.
Can you tell us about your experience and background, Michaël?
Basically, my background is economics. I've been interested in this topic since I was a child. Usually kids watch cartoons, and I was watching the investment channel on the national television and just writing down all the numbers of the stocks, which at some point at like 11 or 12 years, I figured out, okay, this is not something for me, as you need to have capital, and I started to get all the interest back then. So I raised some startups in the beginning of my teenage years, and at some point I figured out that I have to finish a study. So I had in like 2015, 2016 I started economics at the university, and throughout the study I got in touch with some study mates, and they were in crypto in the beginning of 2017 and made some serious cash with the altcoins. Back then it was fun to trade altcoins, which hasn't been the case the past few years, and that's basically how I rolled into the world of cryptocurrencies, essentially buying coins that have been priced relatively low, like Ripple and Digibyte back in the day, assuming that they will reach the value of Bitcoin at one point. The rookie mistakes everyone makes. And along the way, I started to feel more interested in the potential concept of Bitcoin aligning with our monetary system. And I started my Twitter account at the end of 2017. Went full-time back in the day as well, and since like 8 weeks I also have my own YouTube channel where I'm explaining TA. So it's just been a rough journey, life experience, and right now I'm feeling quite comfortable being a trader at the Amsterdam Stock Exchange and providing content.
If you don't mind me asking, what companies you started as a teenager?
Well, there was a hype around like 2008, 2009 with the new iPhones coming up. It was a big deal back then. So in the beginning, there was still a big spread in dealing these iPhones through companies. So I started my own web shops in these and just accessoires for like iPhones and stuff. Done it for like 5-6 years until the bigger guys took over and the spread went away. So that's also like a big life lesson to just start being an entrepreneur in the beginning of your life. You just get through so many hurdles and so many stuff that it's just a big deal, and you learn a lot out of it.
Good way to start the hustle.
Yeah, well, the hustle is long.
Can you walk us through your go-to trading strategy and style?
Well, essentially, when I started, I figured out that there were some Twitter accounts, and everybody was using the most complex way of trading. Some are using Elliott wave, so like they're very difficult, complex strategies that doesn't necessarily increase your return unless you know the strategy behind it very well. And throughout the whole road of understanding TA and investing, I started to realize that the more simple the chart is, or so more simple your strategy is, usually the best it is as well. So if you follow me, you see that I'm mostly just using pure price action and just support resistance flips, or just what I see on the chart with the price. Yeah, so if you don't understand price action, you usually don't understand the indicator either. So I figured out that I have to understand price action, and that's where I'm focusing on. And I'm more focused on the psychology behind trading, market psychology, fundamentals. STA is just like 20% of trading, and the rest is your emotional balance and just having figured out how to approach trading and just risk management discipline and your emotions and patience rather than understanding TA at some degree. So just keeping it simple, and I really enjoy this way of trading, as in the end you just want to have the ability to read a naked chart in a few minutes.
What are your go-to indicators for trading crypto?
I think right now it's the what you see in the altcoins is that the 100-day and 200-day MAs, the moving averages, are just beneficial to spot bull bear trends. So once it breaks above and flips it for support, you can see just a massive move occurring, which we have seen on Silica, for instance. So I'm using these 100-day and 200-day MA indicators on the larger time frames to spot these trends, and then when you know what the trend is or whether it's bull or bear, you can just apply buy the dip or short bounce strategies in which you just use support resistance flips or price action movements. and the RSI to find any divergence, which usually indicates trend reversal.
Wouldn't you be able to make an algo to have your trades automated?
This question is coming to me more often in the recent weeks. I guess it's doable, but if I check my last 40 trades, it's several strategies which you don't really fit into one algo. The majority you can put into one. But at some point, if you have experience, it's just basically becoming intuition more than just a strategy. So I guess it's going to be hard to fit it into an algo, at least for like 30 or 40% of the trades I make. Maybe that's also the trades that I lose. I don't know. Didn't check.
What is your latest performance, let's say last 10 trades?
Well, I know that I've been doing relatively well, but I know for myself that I could have done better if I just followed my charts and traded Silica and Kyber and Verge, for instance. I've charted these since the beginning and did not trade them. Same issue with Chainlink last year. But in the recent months, 6 weeks, my trade portfolio went close to 2x. So that's okay.
You also have a thing for education, don't you? You have a sort of big Discord community where you teach your community, right?
Yeah, I've got my own paid group, which is a difficult topic to discuss. And so you've got haters and you've got people who like the concept. But what I try to do on YouTube is educating how my setups are. And with the group, I'm providing the calls behind the education and what I discuss on YouTube. And we go more in depth on what I'm stating on Twitter and my whole strategy. So I try to focus with my content on providing educational content. So I help people around rather than pump and dumping a certain coin, for instance. I'll just keep it balanced in a way that I want to educate and provide signals. And the education part should be larger than the signal part. As when I go away and the group disappears, and you didn't learn anything, then you didn't succeed at all in your growth as a trader.
But it's not a paid community, right? It's a free community.
The public version is free, and I've also got my own private part.
Yeah, well, my take is that why won't you monetize on something that you're good at? I really don't see the point of people hating on other people having education channels. It's pretty common in crypto, so in my opinion, if you ignore them.
Yeah, well, there are many haters, and you will probably see it as well on social media. They just pop up in your replies. Usually, they are people that are also screaming that every drop down is manipulation, and are just probably jealous. Like if my customers and my members of the group don't like the content, then the group won't grow. It's just my group grows because the content they enjoy the content. Otherwise, it won't be growing. So in that way, if I don't get any new members in the group, I will just stop either way. So I think that's basically saying it all. And it's also the same for like social media. If you have bad traits on social media, then you won't get any new followers or people won't like you. So if your content is doing well and you provide content that they learn from, that will pay it back for itself. Like getting a message that somebody is improving their strategy because of your content. That's the best message you can get.
Yeah, that's the best feedback of performance you can get.
Mm-hmm.
And your group is pretty big also. It's almost 4,000.
Yeah, well, that's not the paid section. I would be very happy if it was the paid section, but that's not true.
Well, you got to start somewhere.
Definitely.
Cool.
And I guess I've started this group in the beginning of 2018. And if I go back in time and just reflect on when I started and just see the trades I made back then, I would never start it in the beginning of 2018 and just wait 1 or 2 years. You just need experience before you start something like it. So that's maybe the only issue I have with the start of the group. But since then, I've seen my own trades and on my own content just growing and developing. And right now we're on a good level. But like if you're just trading for 5-6 months, it's going to be really hard to educate others because you simply don't understand PA yourself.
Yeah, props to you. Like starting a group and growing in knowledge together with your community, not easy at all.
No, it's also the pressure, you know. Okay, look, if you are trading for yourself in your own portfolio, then at some point you don't really mind anymore if you lose money. But if these setups are going wrong for the group, you get all these negative messages and all this stuff going on, and that's providing more pressure to your and more stress to your own trading. And then you get in like a negative circle in which just things start to go bad and worse. And when you start a group like this and just the bear market has started, I can tell you it's difficult.
Yeah.
And right now it's easier because I feel like the bull market is starting.
Do you? Are we going again into 2017 style alt season or?
Nah, I guess the only alt season we could have with like 2017 style right now is just the newer coins. Like for instance, AV Land is already up 60x in 1 year. So it's a new project. Elrond is up like 7x. So the new coins, they didn't really have any cycle. So they have the ability to go 50x, 100x. But the real massive alt season will probably occur at the end of this cycle. So in like 3 or 4 years from now. That doesn't mean that you can't make profits by trading altcoins. Like Silica moved 1200% in 2 months as well.
Yeah, there's plenty of coins, more than a dozen, that have done a few X's this past few weeks. So I guess that's why the hype right now, people calling like alt season, but actually nothing like 2017 numbers, right?
No, but like 2017 was almost the same as what you see right now in the stock markets with Tesla going mayhem, Hertz pumping 6x while it's bankrupt, Nikola being valued 27 billion while they don't have any revenue. Like these signals you just get at the top of a market.
Yeah,
So 2017,
that Nikola stock looks like a crypto token because they don't have any working product right now. They're all pitching sketches.
yeah, but it's valued 27 billion. Why not? But it's also after the 2017
I
crypto
like to see the
push.
performance once they have the product live in the streets.
100 billion probably.
Let's see about that. So you're trading legacy in Netherlands. What platform do you use there?
It's called Links, which is a Dutch broker.
Is it similar to Robinhood?
No, it's completely different. You actually have to pay for trading there as well, which is also different. You have to pay fees and stuff, but you can trade almost everything there except for crypto.
Well,
So you can trade commodities, forex, stocks.
at least you have access to a way to trade yourself and not have
Yeah,
a
well,
broker to do it for you.
I'm seated at the Amsterdam Stock Exchange, and our office has a deal with this broker, so we actually have access to everything they provide, and that's a big, like there's also transaction fees reducing there as we have a deal, and there is also knowledge from other traders that are in this game for like 30 years already. So it's a great environment to be there, and they provide for me the broker for equities. But I'm not too focused on equities at all, as I believe they are in a large bubble.
Nice to know. Are you gonna start sharing more legacy market moves on Twitter?
I guess I'm going to do it more on YouTube. I feel that it's a topic that's being discussed more often recently, especially with the crash in March. So I feel that I want to share my view on the equity markets and the whole economy and monetary system more on YouTube, as you can't really put it into one tweet. If you're going to discuss
Yeah,
the
of
monetary
course.
system, you just have to discuss it for like 15 minutes minimum, and then you have like a small portion of it. So if my studio is finished and we can put some professional style on YouTube, I'm definitely going to focus more on that.
You making a studio? Is that all crypto profits?
Partly, yeah. Yeah, I want to, like, the whole issue with YouTube is that there's just so many garbage going on there. So I just want to build like a platform where you can have great content, or not only by me but also other guys. And for that you have to have a studio where it's just professional and stuff. You can start a podcast itself, maybe in Dutch. So I'm going to finish that in like 1-2 months from now, and then you will see on my YouTube channel that we are professionalizing.
Do you have specific channels for your community in Dutch, or you do mostly in English?
Basically everything in English. But
Yeah,
given the
right.
algo on Twitter, it's like 30% of my followers are Dutch.
Right, but most of the Dutch people speak English, so
Yes.
right. Same goes this way. Like in Panama, there's very little people that trade crypto, but I started focusing in English because the world is in English and not in Spanish. So that's probably a similarity between the two.
Mm-hmm. Well, the community is big in the Netherlands. So you can do it in Dutch, but you're just limiting yourself in what you can achieve and the audience you can have. So if you are having a decent level of English knowledge, then why not go through that language?
Exactly.
Why limit yourself in one language? I don't know.
This episode is brought to you by PrimeXBT, the exchange that makes possible to trade with leverage on legacy markets from a single Bitcoin-based account.
Changing a bit of subjects here. How Netherlands is doing compared to other countries in crypto adoption?
Well, it's difficult to answer that question as I'm biased. I'm living here. But what I see on social media is that the Dutch community is probably one of the biggest in Europe and maybe even in the world. If you check all the social media accounts with a decent size following, the majority of them are Dutch, behind every cartoon, basically. And also based on investment and retail perspective, there are large communities. Many people are interested in crypto. We've got some Dutch projects as well, like LTO, GUTS, Dusk Network. And we also have a blockchain city, which is called Arnhem. And over there you have like 80 stores where you can pay with crypto, and also globally known already. So we are progressing on that part. But on the other hand, we have regulations kicking in, which is not really embracing crypto. So the government are not really helping out the new projects. And that's why you see exchanges like Deribit moving out of the Netherlands towards a different country. In this case, Deribit moved towards Panama.
To Panama, exactly. Well,
Yeah.
they moved to Panama because the taxation here is very lax. That's probably reason number one they did that.
We know that from the Panama Papers.
There's a bunch of lies in those papers, so you should watch the movie that is in Netflix with Antonio Banderas. I don't remember the name of the other guy. Talks about it. It's pretty good.
I didn't see it, but thank you. Will do.
You should check it out. There's also good things about Panama for people listening. It's not about tax evasion here. So, can you enlighten us on Netherlands crypto taxation laws?
Well, what I hear is that the Netherlands is sort of a paradise compared to United States and Belgium. So I don't know how it is for like having a company and then the taxation. But for instance, if you have 100K in crypto on the 1st of January 2019, you pay 1.6% on it. If that grows to 500K the next year and you have that on January 1st, 2020, some countries have like taxation on the profits. We don't have that. We've got the exact same number, which is 1.6% on 500K. So I can't really complain with having that as taxation in our country, as it's just really low. The only country that's better in Europe is probably Portugal.
That's quite not bad at all, really.
No.
So there's no point on avoiding any taxations in the Netherlands, right?
No, like we are called a paradise. So like all the big multinational companies have some fake office here through which they can avoid tax, as we just have a great climate for it. So there is no real you don't have an incentive to avoid any tax if there's just 1.5%. And I do know some people who want to avoid even paying the 1.5%, but then it's mostly because of the government knowing that you have money. But on the other hand, like 1.6% on your wealth is just basically nothing.
Yeah, that's a tiny amount. For Panama, I think the reason why they're a bit moved here is that there's absolutely no taxation on crypto profits, which is really good. Actually, any transaction that perfects outside Panama, it's not taxable.
Well, that's still better than our country. No, but for instance, like different countries have, like I don't know the exact number in Belgium, but other countries have, for instance, 25-30% on the profits in 1 year, and then you can't deduct the losses the next year. So in that comparison, I just can't complain with 1.6%, and I will never do that. But it's funny, like some other dudes from Belgium, they actually moved to the Netherlands because of the taxation.
That's really
such
good.
a big difference.
How much is in Belgium?
I don't know. I thought it was like 20 or 30%. I'm not sure. But such a big difference that you're giving up your own country and move to another one.
But nowadays easy in Europe, right? Like you
Oh,
can
before
easily...
COVID it was, yeah.
Oh, well, that's another story for 2020.
But yeah, the borders are open, so you can easily move between the countries in the EU. That's definitely true. And the essential part between Belgium and the Netherlands is that they have the same language, or kind of the same language. So moving between the two countries doesn't really change much.
So, Michael, what has been your personal lowest and highest point in crypto?
The only day that I will definitely remember, like last time March crash, I do definitely remember as well, as I was moving that day and couldn't really trade. The day that I will never remember is the crash in February 2018, where we crashed to 6K. And that was probably my lowest point in crypto, as I just lost big sums of money. And I even called my dad to say that I was losing money, and he just said, "Oh well, yeah, it's part of life. You lose some, you win some." So if I have to say one day, it's probably that day. As that was just heartbreaking and just a life changing day to just lose big sums of money, and then after that enter the bear market. So you have to have a few of these experience if you want to adapt and just evolve as a trader and just understand what risk management means. So yeah, that's the lowest point, and the highest point I don't really have yet. I don't have that eureka or euphoria moment yet. So I have to answer that. I just enjoy doing all the great stuff right now, like even doing this interview or doing stuff on YouTube or writing an article on Cointelegraph. It's just, I can do it wherever I want, from wherever in the planet, when I want, if I have internet. So I just feel like this is wonderful to do. So yeah, the euphoria moment will still come, I guess.
Yeah, I think the creativity in crypto is something that is nascent right now, and is something that is very appealing to most of us.
Yeah, well, essentially the freedom you want to have. Like in the beginning, I didn't want to get stuck in this system of having a job, doing that job for 40 years, and
The
then
nine
you're
to
done.
five.
Yeah, that the standard view, you know. I just don't want to have my life like that and just be living the mediocre life. I just want to get everything out of my life, and if I have to take risk, okay, fine. So right now I'm at a point that I can just move to a different country if I want to, and I can by the borders if they are open, and can still do this work. And it doesn't feel like it's work. It's just a hobby that became a passion. Um, so I just can't, like, there is no highest point. If you're just doing what you wanted to do, then everything is just fine. It doesn't cost you that much energy. If you have to do it day in, day out, if you have to do a job you don't like, then it's costing you an insane amount of energy to be motivated every day. And with this, and probably you will have the same view, you don't have to do that. It's just going generally.
Totally feel you. I used to work for 13 years in corporate, and when I found the possibility to completely switch off the 9 to 5 thing, it was really liberating, especially because I could tap my creative part. It's really satisfying.
Which is providing memes for the community, right?
Well, you can call it that.
Well, it's creativity.
Providing dopamine to people, it's one way to see it. But
well, I enjoy it.
But if people can want to think about it that way, so be it. It makes me happy.
Well, the whole issue is that it's not easy to go out of the system. Once you have a job at a corporate and you are there for 10 years, you have to give up a lot. And if you are older and you have kids and a wife and stuff, it's going to be really hard to get out. Like, I'm just a student, so I can do whatever I want.
Yeah, I was going to say that you're probably single, right?
Mm-hmm, yeah.
In your early 20s, right?
No, 27 now.
Well, in your 20s. I'm
Mhm.
38. My brother was 2 days ago. I'm 38 right now. Married with one kid. And the decision to do the leap of faith wasn't really easy. Like, you have responsibilities you're attached to. It's complicated. But once you find your way to monetize your content, and even if you're profitable trading, those two hand in hand can give you the freedom you're looking from that 9 to 5.
Yeah, I mean, if you are profitable in trading, you just have to have like a backup for like 1 or 2 years, and then you can just roll with it. But you have to realize that if you go full on trading alone, it's going to be a stressful way. Like if you're relying on trading and you have a bad streak, that could be really painful. But if I compare my situation right now as a student towards other students that have to find a job right now in this crisis, then I'm quite satisfied for having my own company and having my own knowledge, which means that I can just trade wherever I want. I don't have to do any solicitations for any job at any corporate in a period that nobody is getting a job right now. So I'm just really happy for having this and just doing what I like to do. And it's easier for me to go full on crypto, do this for 5 years, and then maybe understand, okay, this is not for me, and then still join a corporate. While if you are in a corporate for 10 years and you jump out, you can't get back. Not that easy at all.
Depends how you play your cards, but you could do the jump back to corporate at any time. Obviously, it would be easier to enter at a lesser level compared when you left, but you could always do the jump back. But I think crypto is the future, honestly, and having that experience as quote unquote freelance could be a win-win for a company that wants to hire someone with experience in crypto.
Definitely. But it's not only on having experience in crypto. I mean, in the university, you learn to, in my case, I learned to apply certain models in economy and understand that part. While all these models you can just throw away right now with COVID-19, but you don't understand anything at all how it works in life. And if you start to become a freelancer or just work on your own, you have to get through many hurdles to just understand how life works and just the regular stuff. And that's not what you're learning in the books at all. Like all the books you can just throw away right now as it's just not applying anymore. So the experience you get through just doing stuff is way more needed than just these books, in my opinion.
Quite complicated to see a book that would cover the topic of a pandemic crippling the economy and how to fare within that economy as a individual.
Well, it's not only like this pandemic crisis, it's just every crisis that's just not covered in any book at all. The books are based on just models that are like normal standards. So if there's an outlier which is a crisis, then it's usually not covered in the books, or the message you take through the books in these normal standards are not applicable to a situation like this or like the previous credit crisis. So it's good to have a critical view and have some knowledge based from the university, but like 90% you learn is either 50 years old or just not applicable to the situation where it's requested, and that's the current situation.
Yeah, universities should be adapting very fast to what is happening nowadays.
Well, not only universities, but also
Schools,
governments and just
governments.
the whole system, I guess.
The whole system is out of date, as you
Yeah.
mentioned. Going back to crypto, when altseason, if ever, what type of coins to have?
If there is an alt season, then probably it doesn't really matter. As long as it's listed, it will probably move. I've been discussing this lately on my own social media as well. If you want to have coins that move the hardest, it seems to be that it has to be in the DeFi section. We've seen it already in the previous week. We've seen it with AV. So I'm focused on that.
I'm a big
And I'm
fan of
focused-
Run, by the way.
Yeah, well, well, probably there are many community members right now for Kyber and Silica and what's moving even more like AV. But these coins are relatively new, which means that they don't have any backholders from the previous cycle. So, for instance, coins like Stratis or OneChain or coins that have been created in the beginning of 2017 and 2016 have price discovery and have historical resistance zones where there is sell pressure, and next to that there are still bag holders holding these which want to get out at break even, which is essentially different from the new cycles and the new coins which are also IEOs. Elrond has been doing really well the past few weeks. They don't have that, so they are still experiencing where their high can be. So I guess the coins I'm focusing on are the coins that are relatively new or are in DeFi or are linked to Link or are an IEO.
Or even Ethereum-based coins that are new.
Probably if Ethereum 2.0 comes out and there's going to be a hype and there are new projects coming around that whole new system, then probably they will just moonfly as well.
So you think that, for example, coins like Strat cycle is completely finished?
No, they are just starting up a new cycle. However, the whole peak, like we've seen in 2017, will probably also come at the last part of this cycle, rather than new coins that are going into a new cycle right now. So if a project is valued for like 8 or 10 million, they can still pull a 100x without any barriers between it. Like Lent is doing a 60x already in a year. Stratis, if it does a 5x, then a majority of the traders or investors holding that coin will get out because they have been holding through a bear market and want to use that money to buy the top on the new coins. So the cycle is not over; it's starting over again. However, for the older coins, it's going to be harder to rally as fast as these new coins do.
Because they, as you mentioned, they have a community of bag holders that are salty that it hasn't pumped as new coins, right?
Yeah, but you can also see it if you rewind back, you can see that the bull markets on Bitcoin just last longer. So from that view, you can just see that, okay, the previous top was in 2014, the next top was in 2017 December, which makes it for me likely that the next stop will be in 2024, 2025. But that approach that every cycle takes longer is also applicable to coins that already have seen a cycle. So the next cycle will probably last longer while the newer coins are just starting up their first. So it seems to have more reason to for the new coins to rally relatively hard compared to the older ones.
Okay, so what would be your backs for the ages and why?
Um, I don't have any bags that I love. I just try to be neutral as an investor, because if you get in touch or love a bag, then you can't really analyze it in the right way. But if I have to pick one or two, it's going to be Komodo. That's probably because I just enjoy the song Moro Picotto Komodo, and I have this, or I've been following this coin for like 3 or 4 years, and I know some members of the community. Or it's going to be
Are they
Elrond.
Dutch?
Yeah.
You're biased.
Yes. Or it's going to be Elrond, because at the office we have like 12 guys who are also in crypto, and the majority of them is hyped around Elrond. So I just have a biased view for that one as well. And it's moving relatively well right now.
And LTO.
I've not been following LTO too much. Maybe that's a shame. I don't know. I know the office and I've been there a few times. I know some guys like Ivan from the project and Roger, whatever the CEO name is. But I don't know. I can't really. I don't have the time to check all these projects fundamentally. So you don't have it either. I'm not going to check 4,000 projects.
Yeah, there's
The
so much coins right now that it would be absurd to know them all.
Like, for instance, I know the guys behind Unibright, and Unibright has also pulled the 60x, and they've been shilling into me since beginning 2018. I didn't really check it, and now I've lost this already. Yeah, so what? The majority of my long-term investments are in Bitcoin and Ethereum, so I don't really care. I'll just be trading and just doing the stuff that I have to do, and then I'll get there as well. But I'm happy for the investors, obviously. But you just can't pick them all. That's also in trading. You can't pick them all.
Yeah, it's impossible to catch all the pumps.
Yeah, it's sometimes, like for instance, right now my bags are not really moving, and then I've charted a different coin and it's actually moving, and then you get the inside feeling that you have to catch this pump. But if it's moving already, the whole entry is gone. So if you want to enter it, it's just gone. But the emotional part is getting to you, that you have to get on this boat, or otherwise you're missing profits. And the moment you jump over from your initial bag to the one that's moving, usually the initial bag starts to move.
And the worst part is that you get made fun of that you missed that pump, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So just stick to the plan. I mean, if you have a plan, stick to it, follow it, and then you'll be probably on the right way.
So what do you think about stablecoins? Are we safe using USDT being the most used stablecoin considering Bitfinex legal issues? Could we eventually get Bitfinexed?
Well, I find the whole Tether situation to be quite difficult, as what I see on social media is that people are constantly searching for a reason to fit to their bias. So there are people that are extremely bearish about the markets, and they try to search for Tether or Bitfinex to be a reason that we're going down. And then they just find arguments for it. The same as in March, we have seen a crash on the markets, and because that happened and people expect the second wave to come, the exact same occurrence will be there in the markets in the next months. Well, what you're doing is that you're basing it on one time that it occurred, so it's extremely risky to say, okay, it will happen again. Essentially, that's the same with USDT. What we see in the previous months is that there's definitely an increase in USDT on the markets, but that could also mean that there are more investors interested in crypto and are using USD and the Tether company to just get access to the markets, as it's quite hard to get into the markets with several millions. So I don't see it as a bearish think that there's more USDT right now and actually see it as a bullish thing. And then the second concept is that people are applying or saying that, okay, they are not one-to-one backed, so it will probably fail. It doesn't have to be one-to-one backed at all. If there's 30 or 40%, okay, the only situation that you have is that there's a liquidity run and then it becomes a large issue. But if you're saying that that's an issue, then you should also be more worried about the current situation in the economy in which there's fractional reserve banking and where banks not even have 1% of the liquidity in the books right now. So if you are uncertain about USDT, I think you should be more uncertain about USD and the underlying collateral rather than being uncertain about USDT. And if USDT goes away, there's other stablecoins that will just adapt and be there for in case of USDT. So I got a little different view on this topic than probably the majority has. It will be great if there's another stablecoin that can become a competitor. Like it would also be great if there's another exchange that can be a competitor of Binance, as Binance is just having a monopoly almost in regards to altcoins basically. And yes, KuCoin and Huobi are also doing fine, but you can't compare the volume. So it would be great, but I don't see the worrying factor at this point.
How COVID was tackled and Floyd's impact in Netherland.
It's for everyone's opinion to say whether the approach on COVID was the right way or not. However, with the significance and the massive pace of the spread of COVID-19, I think it was required to just lock the country in the beginning, as you really didn't know what's coming your way. However, the further we got into the lockdown, and we have been in a lockdown for about 2 months and still are in something called like an intelligent lockdown, which means, right, in this case, the clubs are closed. You need to keep 1.5 meter distance and stuff. The issue is that with this lockdown and the media showing up and just broadcasting a lot about this topic, the fear has grown under the people. So I think it's a larger issue right now that people are just not wanting to go out, just not wanting to spend their money, which would eventually lead towards an economic crisis. And that's probably more disruptive than whole COVID-19. Regarding George Floyd, we have had a significant impact as well. I don't know if you've seen anything of it, but in Europe, there are also mass protests and mass demonstrations, and which essentially is now leading towards discussion of, okay, so we are having mass demonstrations and we still have these measures on COVID, but after the mass demonstrations, we don't really see an increase in COVID cases. So do we still need to have these measures? And I think the whole George Floyd issue is also a big issue in the Netherlands with ethnic profiling and stuff. But I tend to believe that this whole problem will switch towards the anger towards the establishment and the government, as the majority of the people are no racists at all. It's the establishment. So I think we're just getting started with the demonstrations in Europe as well. And there's going to be more social unrest in the coming months and the coming year, probably, if the economy is going to fall apart.
And with that thought, we end our episode. Many thanks, Michael, for your time. I really enjoyed talking to you on Point Blank. Can you tell us where we can find you?
Yes, you can find me on the nickname Crypto Michaël on Twitter and YouTube. And you can also find me under the market analysis section on Cointelegraph. And I've got my own Discord group, which is you can also find that on my Twitter profile. And thank you for having me.
Thanks for listening. Until next time. Peace. This episode was brought to you by Primexed, the exchange where you can trade without KYC on legacy markets with your Bitcoin. You can trade commodities like gold, silver, oil, even indexes and forex. Join now and get a 50% bonus on top of your deposit for trading at u.primexbt.com/Panama.